All right, the next question.
Good evening.
Please identify yourself and your address.
Dan Pavelko, S67, W14979 Coastal Drive. I often read literature, and it always says fiscal conservative. But once the person gets elected, they vote for every tax hike. Tax levy keeps going up and up. Makes me wonder, maybe they have a different definition of fiscal conservative than I do. So I'd like to know your definition of fiscal conservative.
Okay. Just a second.
Both.
Wait, Dan. Luke, you ready?
Yeah.
Scott, you ready?
This Scott or that Scott?
That's Scott. Go ahead.
My definition of fiscal conservative, if you make $25,000, you don't spend more than $25,000. If you have an opportunity to save some money here and there, you save money here and there. For each of us, when it comes to our budgets at home, some of us are clipping coupons. We look for ways to procure better. I think as a fiscal conservative, being very frugal with your money, that means your money, our money collectively is important. So again, you take in X amount of dollars, you don't spend more than what you have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Luke.
My definition of fiscal conservative is it's pretty easy. You spend the money like it's your own. You do what you would do as a household when you have kids. You do what you would expect your parents to do growing up. If you don't spend the money, you don't make. And I want to go back to Dan's original point that people like to call themselves fiscal conservative because it plays well. And it gets them elected, it gets them put in office, and a lot of times, as he alluded to, you fall off the wagon and you fall into the cycle of this is just how it works and nobody's going to notice. But I think the true test of if you're a fiscal conservative or not, no matter how often you call yourself one, is how you vote. And Scott and I don't have a voting record to look at. Kathy, again, I wish she was here, and I hate to bring her up all the time when she's not here, but she has a voting record. And it's not below the belt to point out what she's voted for. She was on the Muskego City Council, and she voted for a 22% tax hike levy increase. She voted for the next year. She voted for a 10% or 6% tax levy increase. The following year after that, she voted for a 10% tax levy increase, and she sponsored these bills. She didn't just vote for them. She's been on the county board since April, and she voted for the Waukesha County budget. And again, another tax increase. Included in that budget was $660,000 for 4 toilets in a Menominee Falls Park, $704,000 for bike path renovations, $39 million for an HHS project building. I mean, everything is not a bad project, but there's certain times to spend the money, and there's certain times to not spend the money. I could use a new car. A lot of you could use a new whatever it is. But when the time is right, the time is right. And in 2010, with the budget we're facing, with the economic hardships everybody is facing, the time to spend money on this kind of thing doesn't work. It's not proper, and no matter how often you call yourself a fiscal conservative.
Thank you. All right, my next question, please.
I'm Lori Oliver, South 75 West 17674 Harbor Circle, and I am wondering how each of you feel about putting another park on the lake. We fought very hard to bring back the lake last year, and I am concerned because I believe it did not become a debt issue. I think it just got put off to the side until after the elections, and I would like to know if each of you feel that it makes sense to spend money to do that in the next few years.
Okay, just 1 second, please. Got a question? Okay, great. Thank you. All right, and we start with Luke this time. See, I have helpers. Luke, you have the floor.
Thank you for the question, and I hear this a lot when I'm out talking to people in the community. And a lot of people have the same concerns as you. They don't think it's dead, they just think it's dormant. And again, I'm not in the inner circle, I'm not in the Muskego political family, so I can't speak to whether it's dead or dormant. Everybody tells me it's dead. The way that was put forward, let me back up. The business of government is not to develop land. We're not a property developer. We're not in business to develop something and hope one day somebody puts something else there. That's not the business of government. The business of government is to listen to the people, to let the private markets work, and to basically get out of the way and let people do their jobs and let companies do their jobs. Anything that resembles what the Bring Back the Lake project was, I would oppose and I wouldn't support. And basically for the simple fact that it's not government's business or their job to do it.
Thank you. Okay, Scott?
When it came to Bring Back the Lake, I really believe that it was not brought to the community's attention the way it should be. You know, there's different vehicles out there for people to get information, and we all get bits and pieces of it, and sometimes we're really not that informed or well informed enough to make those decisions. And when I look forward, I look in the rearview mirror on this, I went to a lot of those. I think I missed one of the meetings. And I continue to hear the resounding, you know, I don't know if anybody's watched a roast on TV where a celebrity gets roasted, and at the end there's like a happy thing they say about people. But, you know, the people that were trying to move this thing forward just got roasted. I mean, there was not not very much positive going on when it came to Bring Back the Lake. From the people that attended those meetings, there were some pros, but there were a lot more cons. And I believe that there's a time and a place for us to invest money in our community. I don't believe that now is the right time. I do not believe that it's our place to procure property for such economic growth. That's not our place. You know, and if somebody wants to develop something and bring that to the city, again, bringing it to the city. It's not the mayor's decision, it's not the common council, it's the city. Okay? And I cannot emphasize enough the consensus of the community. If the community understands what the investment's going to be over the next 10, 15, 20 years, and or the costs associated with that, then it's their right to say yes we do or no we don't. But for myself as being a mayor, it's not my responsibility. It's everybody out in the room, for the people watching on TV. That's where the decision needs to come from, because it's going to hurt everybody's pocketbook if we take these types of events on.
Thank you. Next question.
Larry Stevens, West 161, South 7496, Aaron Court, and my court did get plowed.
Good.
This is concerning the fire department. Do you have any concerns or thoughts on any changes to be made to the current fire department? And what are your views on the years of service awards for the fire department?
I want to make sure both candidates have the question. Oop,
Yeah, I got it.
Scott?
I need clarification.
I'm sorry.
On the fire department, could you just restate the first part, what my thoughts are on
Any changes?
any changes coming up or in the past?
No, coming up that you would like to see.
Okay.
Thank you. And I believe that's Scott's turn.
There was a lot of discussion when this fire department debate came up if we should have one unified fire department or, you know, who should lead it. I want to first say thank you to the people who do volunteer at our fire departments, because, you know, it's something that they don't have to do, it's something that they want to do. So I want to say thank you to those people first of all. As to the past, I truly believe it was the right decision to do, was to combine the fire departments. What I would like to see, and this is no slap on any of the departments that were, but we are the city of Muskego. I just never understood why, even though Test Corners was chosen, and I respect the decision that was made, however, we are the city of Muskego. That's how we're identified on the map. I mean, 21,000 some people, city of Muskego. I would like to see something like that change, to be quite frank. There's a couple other thoughts that I have. I've watched, when people have called 911 and trying to get people to somebody who's having a heart attack or a stroke, and I've witnessed it in my own neighborhood. There's only so much an EMT can do. I'd like to check into what a paramedic or what the investment would be in something like that. Because I think that if it's one of our relatives, our mom, our dad, our grandma and grandpa, we want to make sure that they can get the utmost best care that they possibly can. And EMTs do a great job of that, but they can only go so far. As to the service awards, I think that our people need to be recognized for their accomplishments and what they've done for the community. I think that's very important, and people need to be recognized for good work.
Thank you. Luke?
Thanks, Larry, for the question. I hear a lot about this as well on the road. For some reason, it touches a nerve with people that it's not called Muskego Fire Department. I think it should be as well. Muskego is the municipality where most everything takes place. And, with the possible changes coming up, there are going to be budget issues. There's always budget issues. In the 2020 comp plan, they do talk about, the possibility of looking with other departments and seeing if we can combine or contract out or bring in or sort of have a rotating fire type service, emergency type services. Is that necessary? I don't think so. I think something that defines a community is having their own fire department, having their own emergency services. And as far as service awards for the men and women who are firefighters, who are police officers, my dad's been a police officer for 35 years. It's not an exaggeration to say that they put their lives on the line, even though people may look at Muskego. I had a house burned down, and I know that there were plenty of people there risking their health and their well-being to help me out. And if anybody deserves service awards, it would be the people of police and fire.